Good morning, flower friends. This is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we are going to divide irises and replant them. It's very, very simple, and it's a great way to keep your irises healthy. You can distribute your extras elsewhere in your garden. You can pot them up, give them to friends, what have you, but it's a pretty simple chore, but one that needs doing about every 3 to 4 years. Because they do increase year to year and they can get overcrowded, and then that will inhibit their blooms. So let's get going. So right here, let me move my shovel over, is the iris we're going to divide. It's got some stuff growing around it that we need to clear out, get a clear shot of where the roots begin. And that's pretty easy. Have a little bit of building debris around us too, from the guys here painting our house. So let me get this stuff pulled away out of here. And a few weeds. One thing about taking care of plants that need dividing, whatever, it gets you in there to clean up around them as they need it. Get rid of the weeds. This whole area has been kind of neglected because the guys have been here for a month getting the deck repaired and getting ready to paint the house. So I haven't been in this bed. Okay, now this is a pretty pink iris. I just fell in love with it. It had a little touch of lavender on it, and I really did love it last spring. I'll see if I could put up a little excerpt of it on your screen while I finish cleaning these weeds out. Right here is a foxglove, which I want to, let me see, do I want to move that or just get rid of it? I guess I can move it. Let me get my shovel here and I'll just dig that up and go and plant it somewhere else. Oops, I just chopped a piece of the iris rhizome. Let's see, did I get it? Yep, there's roots on that. Very nice, very nice. I'll just plant it over here in this little pot right now, and I can move it later. Okay, now this iris, obviously there's some part of it coming up over here, and I just chopped into it. So that part is going to get moved because it's in the middle of this raised bed that I'm putting in here. Now to cut the leaves back, I'm not precious about this. Now, never fear, I have grown iris for 30 plus years, so if it looks like I'm doing something that's wrong, it just works for me. Okay, this is from that piece, and let me move my shovel. I like things quick and easy, so instead of going in here and chopping each leaf individually, I just go in with my shears and my pruning shears and just take care of business. I don't dilly-dally around cutting each individual leaf. To cut individual leaves, I use these. But, like I said, I want to make short work of this. All right, there's another little foxglove, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so I get back a ways. I'm saying I'm about 4 or 5 from that rhizome inches, and I can tell the rhizome is growing that way, so I'm not worried about damaging the rhizome. And I just get underneath it, and that went down so smoothly. I'm afraid there might be a gopher hole down there. So let me see our tunnel. I know my gophers have returned. I thought I had been rid of them. And you see how that whole clump came up just beautifully? And then I can't tell if there's a gopher hole. Let me keep digging, just because this has sunk in. It just feels so much like there's one. Well, I don't see one. Doesn't mean they're not there. It just means my soil is so crumbly that it just falls in. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. And I'm just beating the rhizome a little bit to get all the extra soil off. Look at those roots, aren't they gorgeous? And you can come in here and cut them apart. I have a garden knife, but I also just find ones that are loose around the edges and I pull them away. See, this was the original mother rhizome right here. You can see it's old and gnarly, but it has these other little rhizomes coming out from it. And here it's got some other pieces. Now this long gnarly piece I can break off at a juncture, and this is perfect for planting. It has two little rhizomes coming off of it. Good. This one, you can see this one has some other little rhizomes coming off of it. These will all go in the ground together. Old rhizome, compost heap. This one, you can see, here's this where the juncture is here, and I can just snap that off. That's an old rhizome, and it just pops right off. And this doesn't show any growth. Well, these side ones might grow, so I could plant that on the back hillside or in a pot and see what it does. But that's a good one. Look at that one, has nice growth on it there. And you could actually pull each one of these off and plant them separately. That's doable too, but I'm gonna keep these together. And then I'll get that back one in there, over in the container a little bit later. And then I'm just gonna fill that hole back in. Now I'm not going to replant it right in this spot. Sometimes I would. And this did fabulous right here, but I still have some work I'm going to be doing in this bed, and I don't want it in the way. So I'm not going to replant it right there. Let's go find another spot to replant. I'll replant this one, the big one, with mini offshoots. And then the other ones, these other two, I can find other spots for, and or put them in pots to give away, or let the rhizomes dry out and then give them away. So that being said, let's go find a spot for this baby. Okay, so you know we took it from this spot, and now I'm just gonna turn you across the path over to this spot. I think this would be a fantastic place. This planter, I just put some extra of these, this is a Tiny Monster hardy geranium in, and I'm just gonna give those away. I need to put them in smaller pots and give them away because I have plenty of that, and I can't stand to kill a plant. Or I could put it on my back hillside too. I'll see about that. But right there would be a fabulous place for this iris because I don't have any right there. And I walk on this path all the time. This is my side garden in front of my studio cottage. So let me zoom you up for that. So there's my patio, studio patio, and then here is my studio. I need to clean off the front porch of that, but so this would be a perfect spot for this beautiful iris. And I'm going to clear out the older plants. There's a strawberry that's going crazy here, and I don't want. A lot of times I'll let these strawberries run as ground cover, but I just pull them up in areas I don't want them. And that's all is good. So here's the volunteer tomato, a couple of them. I guess this area's really been beneficial for many things. Another tomato. It's okay, this is September. We're not gonna be getting any tomatoes from them. And lots of volunteer flowers. I have a lot. There's some feverfew. This is a golden feverfew. That one I want to keep. It hasn't bloomed this year, but I really love that color, that chartreuse color. We'll see how that plays out next year. My favorite gardening tool, one of them, is this hodag, and it just keeps on ticking. It makes this kind of job super easy for me rather than other tools I've tried. Okay, I got the majority of the area done. That's a another feverfew I don't want right here. And a black-eyed Susie vine. Not vine, what am I saying? I have a really gorgeous black-eyed Susan vine that I put in this year, and I love it. I gotta get me some more seeds. It's a pink one. I think I showed you in my last, or in my August garden tour more. tomatoes coming up underneath there. Guess when I disturbed that soil, because I don't remember putting any compost or my homemade compost in here, which might have the seeds. Okay, this is columbines. It all comes back from seed. That's the old plants from last year. And right there's a foxglove. I might be out of camera, and I'm going to let that stay. I do want a foxglove in there for spring bloom. Okay. Now we've got our ground pretty well cleared. And I'll put that iris right here. Dig it up a little, loosen the soil. One thing irises love is good drainage. And, nope, wrong one. Aha, here it is. And I'm going to make sure I get all these roots. You can trim the roots back a little bit, which I will do since they're so long to get these planted in. And it doesn't hurt them one little bit. Make them a manageable size to get into the planting hole. I sure hope I'm in the camera because I didn't double check. And they will rot in place, so those will be fine. You notice this is not very deep. I get the roots in there, and I just wiggle the soil in there around it. And then I will be sure to water that in, make sure it has good contact. And there we have the planting of the iris. Now, if I wanted this to have a gargantuan bloom, I shouldn't say gargantuan, but more than just a few blooms, I would plant all of the rhizomes spaced apart in here, like one over here, one over here. But I want this to have time to fill in and not have to divide it again next year. So I'm going to plant these others. Well, one other I'm going to plant in a pot for you. Okay, here's the pot of soil. Again, I've got to trim the roots back of the iris so it fits in there nicely. Again, won't hurt it a bit. Cut the old leaf off. Got that leaf even shorter. And let's see if we can get it in this pot. There's another long old root. I want to make sure I can get it in the pot. Okay, so I have the pot filled up too much. I just will pour some of it out. Set my iris rhizome down in there. And fill around it. Now, make sure it's not too deep. I always try to feel for the back of the rhizome. And there you have your iris in a pot. And this could bloom in the pot next spring, or it could take another year. You could give this away, put it somewhere else in the garden. As long as it has good drainage and you don't overwater it and drown it. That's just the two things to watch for. Okay, and that, my friends, is how you dig, divide, and replant iris, and how I plant iris in a small pot. Now, if you want to do them in a large container, you can keep them and grow them in containers, just like any other plant, as long as they have good drainage. That's the only requirement they really have. And they would bloom beautifully in a larger container. Now, in the smaller containers, they will bloom. It's just they like to put out new growth as far as new rhizomes, etc. So they would get overcrowded really quick in the size pot that I planted it in. But it's perfect for giving away. Like if I didn't find someone right now, in spring it would bloom and they would know what color it is, and so they'd be thrilled to get that. So that being said, please, I have a question for you. What is your favorite iris to grow in your garden? A bearded iris like these ones. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share with your friends. All right, I will see you in the next video.